welcome to the Baller Sports Dialogue podcast presented by the Sporting Tribune. Lots to talk about, some playing scenarios, some playoff scenarios today. As we get into the playing and playoffs this week, this is going to be a crazy, crazy year playoff-wise, especially in the Western Conference, in my opinion, a wide-open conference. I think we all know that. I just want to, Grant, first off, I want to talk about the Lakers-Clippers game because everyone thought the Lakers were going to win, and I knew, even before they had that overtime game to the Jazz, and I know we can give them an excuse like, oh, they played 55 minutes, 52, 53, whatever, 54 minutes against the night before against the Jazz. Oh my gosh, they were tired, back-to-back. That was their fault. They had that game won in regulation, and they decided to coast, and it went into overtime. People could say that, I know LeBron's saying, it's one of those scheduling things. I just think the Clippers show up more. It means something more to them, and I just knew it doesn't matter if the Lakers had Steph Curry, Joel Embiid, Nikola Jokic, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and LeBron James on the floor. They will still lose to the Clippers head-to-head because they don't want it more than the Clippers. They are lackadaisical every time they play the Clippers. They know they have 17 championships. The Clippers have 0. But for whatever reason, they don't get up. They think they're the team of L.A. And, they do have the biggest fan base, and they are the team of L.A. But the fact of the matter is they're always going to lose to the Clippers head-to-head because the Clippers get up for those games. This is like the Clippers' NBA Finals. I hope they do get an NBA Finals eventually. But for them, they will – doesn't matter if Paul George is out, they're always going to beat the Lakers head-to-head. And no one seems to get that through their head. It does not matter. They will not – it doesn't matter how good the Lakers are. They will not beat the Clippers head-to-head a lot. That's just what we have to grow accustomed to seeing unless they have – they just don't get up for those games. And you can make all the excuses in the world about back-to-back and whatever. And for me, it's just a matter of who wanted it more. I know the Clippers had more rest. That doesn't matter. The Lakers are a better team right now than the Clippers, and they just didn't. And they just did not show up. And I knew that was going to happen, regardless of even if they beat Utah by 30 the night before and they rested the guys in the second half, they still would have lost. Something that's admirable, though, is I do admire that LeBron and Davis decided to play because a lot of people spent a lot of money to go see that game, and they ended up making it close in the second half. So I do admire that. But again, the Lakers just don't seem to have that energy against the Clippers. It doesn't mean anything to them.
For the Clippers, and not just that, but this was like such a huge game for seeding, right? So whoever won that game was basically in the driver's seat to get that 5 seed or 6 seed, which the Clippers now have. And a lot of people are saying, okay, well, do the Clippers want to face the Suns? Look, anytime you get out of the play-in,
that's a win.
That is a win, right? You never want to be in a double elimination scenario, even if you would rather play the Grizzlies or you'd rather play Denver for whatever reason. A lot of people are saying that the Lakers would beat Denver like automatically. They could, but it's not like a foregone conclusion that they will. So this whole reasoning of this game being more important than the Utah game, that's why I don't understand why they're probably going to beat Utah, right? The Lakers are probably going to beat Utah. Why not rest your guys there and get up for this Clipper game? I understand you could have lost.
Or the opposite.
Right.
Or the opposite.
One or the other. But
because if you didn't want it, like, why play?
And not just that, LeBron in that first half was probably the worst I've ever seen him play.
And then he had 31 in the second half.
Which doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know what he took at halftime, maybe a Red Bull or two. But, he turned it on the second half, which Which tells me that they had it in the tank. Anthony Davis had 17 points. Zubac's matched Anthony Davis's points. Like, you cannot have that. I know you're on a back-to-back.
Yeah,
but if you're that star guy,
and let's talk about the Lakers. Let's just go straight into the Lakers in the playoffs and what's going to be instrumental in them succeeding. Okay. Is Davis getting 20 shots. They weren't even doubling Davis. He wasn't assertive enough. They weren't getting him the ball. I think a lot of times LeBron holds the ball. There's ISO possessions. There is I don't care how good Dennis Schroeder is playing, Rui Hachimura, anybody not named Austin Reeves, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis, they should not be getting more shots than Anthony Davis in the playoffs. So Anthony Davis is the best player on this Lakers team, and I know it was a back-to-back, but we've seen this so many times where sometimes he looks like the best player in the NBA, and other nights he's lackadaisical. He's not assertive enough. Darvin Ham needs to implement a system where the ball goes to Davis
Almost every touch.
Almost every touch.
Yeah.
He needs to touch the ball every possession. And I know LeBron's great, but let's be real. His efficiency's down. He holds the ball and takes some really bad shots, and it messes up the rhythm of the team a lot of the time. Then there's stretches where LeBron can get you back in a game by himself. Like, he still has that. He's still a great player, one of the best in the league. I get that. But Anthony Davis, the way he's been playing this year when he's healthy, when he gets the touches, the Lakers are unbeatable if he scores 30-plus points. If he takes 15 to 20 shots, they're unbeatable. What Darvin Ham needs to implement is Davis. The offense needs to run through Davis. I don't want to see any more of these ISO possessions with LeBron jacking up a 3 with 3 seconds to go. No ball movement. Dennis Schroeder going and shooting a 2 when he's 1 for 8. Lonnie Walker, as good as he's been in some games, Rui Hachimura taking wild threes. Malik Beasley, Troy Brown Jr. taking threes. I know they're shooters, but the ball needs to go to Anthony Davis every possession. I'm sick and tired of him having 11-shot games and Dennis Schroeder has more shots, or D'Angelo Russell has more shots. And I get it, D'Angelo Russell's good, but to be honest, he's the 4th best player. Austin Reeves is their 3rd best player. It has to go to Davis every possession, and the secondary options are LeBron and Reeves. Then it goes everybody else. It's not D'Angelo Russell, take it, or ISO with Dennis Schroeder. That will lose you basketball games. And the potential of this team is so vast, it's so high. Their ceiling is an NBA ring, an NBA title, but it starts with getting Davis like 20 to 30 shots a game. I don't even care if he's doubled. Find a way to get him the ball. He wasn't even doubled, and he had 11 shots. That's unacceptable, and that's what's going to lose them a playoff series. If they don't get Anthony Davis the ball, it's very simple. He needs to touch the ball every possession.
And see, that was awesome, by the way. That was absolutely awesome.
Thank you.
But you bring up so many good points. This is why there's a lot of concern for me on the Lakers' part. If we're talking about playoffs, right now we're talking about playoff previews. There's too much inconsistency in the offense. I was watching film yesterday of Austin Reeves from the beginning of the season until now. In the beginning of the season, he was a spot-up shooter. They were just LeBron was the point guard. When LeBron got out and it was just Anthony Davis and Austin Reeves, that ball was popping everywhere. Austin Reeves was passing it to guys. They had high screen and rolls. He was getting it to Davis. And Davis and Reeves were playing absolutely sensational because the ball was moving around. And when LeBron, I was watching this. I was watching film almost every game up until now. When LeBron got back, they started pushing Reeves off to the corner again. Yes, he gets the ball and he can create and he can still pass and he can still get to the rim. But I saw more ball movement when Austin Reeves was the point guard and LeBron was playing off the ball. And I'm just worried that Darvin Ham gets in a tunnel vision with LeBron and AD, them just passing it back and forth with each other, as opposed to getting Austin Reeves the ball, letting him create, getting LeBron involved and Anthony Davis involved. Because I've noticed that when LeBron came back, yes, Anthony Davis had some big games, but it was just them two. And when you're playing a good defense, you cannot have that in the playoffs. You can't just get stagnant at times. And that's why I'm kind of concerned going into a series against anybody.
I think you bring up a good point. I mean, just think about how the dominance of the Lakers in the Bulls game on the road and then the Timberwolves game. What was happening? Reeves was playing point guard.
Yes.
That's what was going on. LeBron was still getting his feet back. He only had like 18, 10, and 10. Still a great game by him.
That should be his game.
That should be his game. It should not. He should not be trying to score 40 points and taking like 30 shots a game, because the ball movement, it's just not there right now. There's too many ISO possessions. Like I said, Austin Reeves is one of those guys who always makes the right play, and a lot of times LeBron, I'm not saying, because he's a great player. It's so crazy to say that he takes away ball movement, because for his career he's made so many players so much better. But a lot of times it's him trying to get into a rhythm, and that's at the cost of other people not getting into a rhythm, right? If LeBron's not starting off great, the team's going to go down 15 to 3 like we saw against the Clippers, right? But if he starts off great, congratulations, you're in a good position. But it should not be about LeBron getting into a rhythm before anything else happens. That's what we saw in the Clippers.
Anthony Davis getting into a rhythm first.
Anthony Davis needs to touch the ball on the first 5 possessions, on the next 5 possessions, and the 5 possessions after that, and the 25,000 possessions after that, okay? He's your best player. I'm sorry, LeBron, you said it yourself that he's the number 1 option on this team. Darvin Ham and LeBron need to start treating him like it, because when a game gets down to the wire, we saw that Minnesota game, Davis took over. That's what you need in a playoff series. When it gets close at the end of the game and you're playing like the Suns, or you're playing, Denver, you're playing, a good team, Warriors, Memphis, doesn't matter. you need to get Davis the ball because he can take over the game instead of these LeBron step-back ISO possessions. It's like, what are you doing? Unless LeBron goes straight to the rim, that's the only shot I like from LeBron late in the game, in my opinion. I'm sorry. I don't like the step-back three.
LeBron is still one of the elite guys that can
he
get to the rim.
shoot the way the other guys can.
He is still one of the guys that can get to the rim and create, get foul. He doesn't get a lot of fouls, but he can get to the rim among the best.
I'm fine with him going to the rim, but you better go to the rim because you're a 29, 31, 32% three-point shooter this year, LeBron. Like, his EFG's down a ton. He's not shooting the ball well, and I'm not saying that he can't shoot the ball well because he obviously can.
But right now, that's not the strength.
Now it needs to be Davis. Best EFG of his career, highest rebounding percentage of his career, close to his highest points per game, best defensive year arguably for him, one of up there for sure. I mean, he's still averaging 2.5 blocks per game, a steal, most versatile interior defender in the league, maybe besides Giannis. I mean, look. Or maybe Jaren, but I think he's better than Jaren. Jaren fouls too much.
Yeah.
But I mean, we've said that a long time. But that's my biggest concern in a playoff series. If they're playing Memphis, I know like a lot of people are going to be like, okay, let's take the Lakers. And yes, should the Lakers win a series against Memphis? Absolutely, they should beat the Grizzlies. Absolutely. I know the Grizzlies are good at home, but again, Jaren Jackson, get him into foul trouble. Ja Morant plays a lot of times inefficiently, takes wild shots. Bane is hit or miss, and I know David Roddy's been good, Santi Aldama, John Conchar, but without Brandon Clark, there are clear things to exploit.
And Steven Adams.
Who might be back, but still, there are clear things to exploit for the Lakers. There is no way the Lakers should lose a series against Memphis, in my opinion. They just need to get Anthony Davis the ball. It's very simple, every possession. And keep playing the defense you were playing before that back-to-back against the Jazz and Clippers. And they could go all the way. Like, it's possible. But they should not lose to the Grizzlies. And the only way they do lose to the Grizzlies is if they keep doing what they were doing against the Clippers and Jazz. Not getting Davis the ball, ISO possessions, slacking on defense. Because Memphis, especially when they go into Memphis, which is going to be 4 games of the series, right? It's going to be on the road, because the Lakers would be the 7 seed, right? It's going to be on the road if they're the 7 seed, and Memphis is great at home. You cannot play off your game in Memphis. You need to win a game or two like the Clippers did a few weeks ago in Memphis. You have to win that series.
The Clippers didn't have Kawhi or Paul George.
And it starts with Davis getting the ball. Every possession. I don't care. Let Vanderbilt guard whoever, whatever. I don't care. Put Reeves. Reeves is an underrated defender. Put him on somebody. That will lead to success. There's no way they should lose to the Grizzlies. I mean, do you agree?
I completely agree. But the thing for me, and I've said this so many times, whether it's on radio or whether it's on this pod, is that there's just such an on-off switch with that Laker team to where one time they can look like one of the best teams in the league, and then they'll just have a stinker against Houston, or they'll have a stinker against the Knicks, or they'll have a stinker against the Jazz, which kind of ruins their momentum. Right?
Yeah.
The Lakers they've won 4 straight. They go into that Utah game kind of. I was watching this game. I watched the whole entire game.
They didn't want it.
When it hit the 3-minute mark, they stopped playing aggressive. They stopped playing their game. They just started turning the ball over, taking bad shots, not playing through Davis. And then the Jazz tied the game, and then they had to go to overtime, and that thus led to the Clipper game. So it's like,
for them, it's about effort. It's about effort.
Yeah,
I mean, it's about that killer instinct. Say what you want about the Warriors. Even if they're down 20 with a minute to go, they're going to give it all. They're going to give it all. They're going to get Steph open for threes, Clay up. They are killers. That's why they've won titles. LeBron and Davis won a title because they had that killer mindset that one year. They need to get back to that. It's still in them. We've seen it over the past couple of weeks. But Warriors Kings, I want to talk to you about that because the Kings, they have, it's that Bay Area pride. They want to be the team, and that's no pun intended, I know. No pun intended. Legitimately, they want to be the team right now. We've seen the Warriors win championships. The Kings are trying to establish themselves a little different than the Clippers and the Lakers because they have their own city, really. Light the beam. I mean, number 1 offense historically all time. I know they don't play defense.
Let's give them their flowers.
This is not going to be an easy matchup. Not going to be an easy matchup. In fact, I know Wiggins is going to be back, but 4 games on the road for Golden State in that series. That still concerns me. I think people forget early on in the year when Wiggins was playing and when Steph was healthy, this was early on, they were still getting waxed on the road. This wasn't a thing that changed. They just were so good at home that net rating that we all see on Twitter was so high because they were so good at home. And that should still be the case. But I wouldn't be surprised if the Kings beat them in 7 because they have the extra home game. And I think that's important. And I think everybody's saying the Warriors are getting back to the finals with Wiggins. It's tough because think about it. I've said this before, 14 of the last 15 NBA champions, top 11 defensive rating. The Warriors last year, they won. They had the second best defensive rating to the Celtics, who were in the finals. The Celtics had the first, right? Warriors have the 19th defensive rating. I know that changes if Wiggins is on the court. I still don't know if they have enough defensive versatility besides Draymond and Wiggins. Like, who are you relying on as your third stopper? Or fourth, Gary Payton.
I guess Gary Payton.
Okay, which is fine.
But still, Gary Payton's still undersized.
And he can't shoot. Yeah. So that's like kind of a liability on offense. And then Kuminga is your fourth guy to stick guys? Like, come on.
And he's kind of like the Lakers, where he just turns on and off sometimes.
Exactly. So for me, it's hard for me to come in and say, look, they're going to get Wiggins. They're going to the finals because it's like.
First of all, we have to see Wiggins be integrated back into this lineup.
It's going to be tough.
You can say, okay, there's so much chemistry from last year. It's not the same. It's not the same.
I'm sorry.
You still have to have time.
I'm sorry. I'm taking the Kings in 7. I am, because that's when you exploit the Warriors. They're not healthy. Wiggins still has to get acclimated, like you said, and there's 4 games on the road. The Kings are excellent at home. Even if they lose those 3 road games, Grant, that's when you get them. You get them when the Warriors play 4 games on the road.
And people are underestimating this. Yes, the Warriors are bad on the road, but the Kings at home, that crowd is one of the toughest to play already in the playoffs. Yeah. Like, that crowd is going to be insane. And I know people are going to say, oh, well, there's probably going to be a lot of Warriors fans. No, that's going to be packed with Kings fans.
They're not going to allow Warriors
That's
fans
not just
going to
be a regular road playoff
well,
game.
Warriors
that's
fans,
going to be
do they
raucous.
even really exist? It's more like, if you look at the games, like, yeah, they exist. There's like the old school Warriors fans. But that stadium's so expensive to get into now.
Yeah.
None of those are actually
corporate.
Warriors
You can ask Warriors fans.
You can ask the true Warriors fans, there are some. I was joking. There's a ton. They're at home. They're in like San Mateo or like Santa Clara. They're not going to that game. I'm so sick and tired of.
They're in Oakland.
Well, and by the way, that's another thing. I'm kind of tired of the corporate culture of where you just drop. I get it. Like, congratulations, you have money. Go and like do what you want. But dressing in suits, not knowing about basketball. Where's the real fans? It's like when you wear a suit to a baseball game. Like, what are you doing? That's what made me sick and tired of Yankee and Philly fans. I'd always see them go into suits. I get it if you have work. Change. How hard is it?
Change. Put on a jersey.
Same thing
with
the Warriors now. It's getting so corporate. You see these guys, they're like, oh, look at Steph Curry. I'm sitting next to him. I'm so rich. I don't even know what a foul is. Like, nah, we need real fans, bro. I know it's a business to make money, but like, where's the culture of the real fans?
I agree.
Where's the culture? Even if you're rich, go and study basketball. You should have more time if you're that rich, if you have that much money, right? Like, go study basketball and find a way to buy a jersey. You don't have to wear a suit to a basketball game or a baseball game. I'm sorry.
You know what it is? I'm just going to say this just as an aside. It's just because it's more of a social event now rather than a sporting event.
It's like the Super Bowl, but that's every game for the Warriors.
You know what I mean? Like, but it's not just the Warriors. It's a lot of teams now to where, people are dressing like they're going to a nightclub to a basketball game. It's like, no, I dress in a jersey and because I love my team. But like, why are you dressing in nightclub attire to go to a basketball game? This is a sporting event. I know you try to look nice, but like, I see people that have no clue of what's going on the court, and they still go to the games, and they, it's more of like posting for social media as opposed to like when I go to a game, this because we've gone to many games together. We study the game when we're there. Yeah. We look at everything. We look at the bench, how they're reacting with the coach. We look at the plays they're running. We look at, how they're shooting, how they act when it's a timeout. And people, they take selfies, they take videos. They don't care about the game. And I think that's ruining the game. I think that's ruining basketball.
Excellent point, Gramp. I'm wondering if this is going to be a similar thing with the Intuit Dome.
Yes.
I'm wondering.
I was worried about that.
I'm a little worried, and it's going to be interesting to see when that opens if we're going to see the same corporate culture, kind of nonchalant, non-basketball fan, rich social event culture at the Intuit Dome, which is, by the way, specifically for basketball. The Crypto.com staples. There's more history. There's lights, camera, action type stuff, Hollywood stuff. Like Intuit Dome strictly for basketball. So it's going to be very interested. I'm going to be interested in seeing whether that corporate culture, that social culture of like these people don't even understand the game. They just go because they're so rich and they watch a game. I'm interested to see if that boils over to Intuit Dome. So that's going to be something important to note. I just wanted a side note there because By the way, the Kings fans are legit fans, and they're ready. They're ready.
I mean, I lived up there for 2 years. Those people go crazy for that team.
Let's switch gears here for a sec. We'll get back to the Western Conference, but I want to say Knicks Cavs. Series that a lot of people, especially on the East Coast with the bias and in a lot of media culture there, they think the Knicks have a chance. I think the Knicks have zero chance in this series. I'll just flat out and say it. 0%. Like zero. They shouldn't even go to the series. Pack their bags and go home. I don't think they have any chance against the Cavaliers. The Cavaliers have the best defense in basketball. They have a guy at Donovan Mitchell, who the Knicks, by the way, could have had if they wanted to get rid of RJ Barrett. And he's going to score 40 on you every night. We know what he turns into in the playoffs. They have Allen and Mobley inside. No one can score on them. Brunson and Randall, congratulations. Randall
may not even play.
Yeah, I mean,
he has an ankle
even
sprain.
if he plays, he's going to get locked up, dude. He can't. What's Randall's game? If he doesn't have a shot falling,
you tell me, because
if Randall doesn't have a shot falling, he's gonna try to go to the rim. You're not gonna go to the rim against Mobley and Allen. Like, you're just not. You have to be able to shoot. I don't think they have enough shot creation, even without how well Emmanuel Quickley and Quentin Grimes have been playing. Great. Brunson. That's three guys. Can Toppin create his own shot? No. Can Randall create his own shot? Only half the time, right? Because like he's either 1 out of 14 from 3 or 10 out of 14 from 3. Like, he's hit or miss. In a playoff series, and the way Cleveland's getting behind this team, and they were almost there last year. Now they have Mitchell, and they have Darius Garland, who's a great facilitator and scorer. It doesn't even matter about the bench. Cedi Osman's been playing great, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Cavs in 4 or 5, in my opinion.
Wow, a sweet
This is a
ball.
similar thing to what happened with the Hawks and Knicks a couple of years ago, where everyone thought the Knicks had a chance. They don't. They don't play defense.
Well,
they have a defensive coach, and they don't play defense. That screams, and they don't have a good enough offense like the Kings to get by without defense. I'm saying Cavs in 4 or 5. I think it's over. I think the Knicks shouldn't even go to the series. They should just go home. Congratulations on a good regular season. They aren't beating the Cavaliers. 0% chance, in my opinion.
Well, see, this is the thing for me. In that series in 2021, the Knicks were not that good of a team. They got that 5 seed because they went on a few winning streaks. They were a decent team, but they weren't that good. Julius Randle played out of his mind. The Knicks are a way better team this year than they were in 2021. They have Jalen Brunson. RJ Barrett's been playing decent, but he's pretty good. Julius Randle's been playing better than his 2021 season. But the thing is that now it's not the Hawks, it's the Cavaliers who are way better than the Hawks, right, in that series in 2021. The Cavaliers, you and I have said this on multiple pods. They're the sleeper because they have everything you'd want. They have a star, maybe 2. They have 2 front court guys that can really defend. They have a pretty decent bench, right? I mean, I know they got rid of Kevin Love, but they still have a pretty good bench with Ricky Rubio leading that unit. They have almost everything, and Isaac Okoro's actually hurt, which is maybe a pretty big dent in their playoff run because he has a bone bruise in his knee. I don't know how those respond. So Isaac Okoro's a pretty big piece. He's been hitting 40% of his threes too. So the Cavaliers, to me, have everything you need for a championship contender, right? But the Knicks, they're still pretty good too, but they're just not as good of a quality depth-wise as the Cavaliers. Like the Knicks, great story, great year this year. You know, I think we say that every year when the Knicks make the playoffs. It's like, okay, you had a great year. Congratulations. You're not going to win
I don't know
anything.
if they'll ever win a championship again.
I'm not going to say
I mean, like, I don't think people realize how hard it is to win a championship. Like, Brunson and Randall aren't getting it done, ever. Ever. It doesn't matter who you have around it. You need superstars to win a championship.
They're going to need another star.
You need superstars. If you had Donovan Mitchell, that's another story. If they went and traded for Donovan Mitchell and had Brunson, Mitchell, and Randall, then that's a different story. But, like, I don't think people realize you aren't, like, dude, it's crazy to me. Like, Memphis, John Morant. Denver, Nikola Jokic. Say what you want. 76ers, who always choke. Embiid, and they still won't win a championship, and they have Embiid. You know what I'm saying?
Like, probably the MVP.
Like, if you just think about the past champions, who's won? Curry, LeBron. How many guys have actually led a team to a championship? Giannis, LeBron, Curry, Kawhi. How many other people?
Dirk.
Okay, but that was years ago. And Tony Parker and Tim Duncan. Like, I don't think people realize you need that guy to lead you to the title. You need that guy. They don't have that guy.
Yeah, they
don't have that guy.
Like Randall's an all-star. Brunson should have been an all-star. Maybe will be all-NBA. But they're not like top 10 players in the league.
And this is why a lot
top
of Lakers
15
fans
even.
expect championships, is because we have a guy like that in LeBron. And we
Yeah.
have a secondary guy, too. Davis can be the best player on a championship team. So when people are like,
Oh,
congratulations.
Watch for the Knicks.
Watch for the Knicks. It's like, okay, you're playing for participation medals. Congratulations. Give you your medal. You made the playoffs. Congrats. You ain't winning a championship anytime soon. I'm sorry, unless you get it in a superstar. And it's entirely possible with the culture change and them playing well that they get a superstar and they do win a championship. But as presently constructed with this roster, they are not going anywhere, ever. It doesn't matter. You need superstars. People can say, the Kings, great. Kings might win a playoff series. They're not going to win the finals.
Yeah.
They don't got a superstar. As good as Sabonis and Fox are, they don't have a superstar. That's important. There's been four guys that have led championship teams.
And they're all
over
veterans.
The last decade.
They're all veterans.
And they're all veterins.
Yeah, like solid veterans that have been there, done that.
If you want to just look at history, the champion is either going to be Giannis, LeBron, Durant, or Kawhi.
Yeah, wasn't there
Curry?
There was a stat or something where it's
five guys.
There's it's always one of those guys for the past decade or something like that.
Unless Tatum could enter that conversation, but Tatum has an excellent team around him.
Was there.
Tatum has an excellent team around him. That is why.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe he enters that conversation this year and they get to the finals. But dude, it's been Giannis, Curry, LeBron, Kawhi, and Durant. 5 guys have been winning titles over the past decade. That's it. And chances are one of them's going to win again.
Yeah.
9 times out of 10.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I hate to say it, but it's a superstar-driven league. And we can live in this fantasy Sacramento has some shot. They've had an excellent year. New York has some shot to win it all. Even the 76ers or Cleveland with Embiid and Mitchell, those are superstars. They aren't one of those 5 guys. So chances are they don't win a championship.
I agree.
Chances are.
Yeah, so there's this whole conversation because we just talked about the 4-5 with Cavs and Knicks, right?
Yeah.
In the 4-5 matchup, Clippers-Suns.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of stars in that one, but Paul George probably won't play in that series.
I hope he does.
People are really talking about the Suns as this absolutely unbeatable juggernaut. Everything, they're, my favorites to win the West. I've heard that so many times in the media over the past week. I don't think they're unbeatable. I think they are really beatable. Especially with a team like the Clippers who have the length to defend Kevin Durant. I know Kevin Durant is probably going to get his. He's going to get his points.
30 every game.
But I love the Clippers 4 through 10 over the Suns 4 through 10. I'm sorry, I just do.
And the 4 through 15.
Right.
Come on, dog.
I'll even take the 4. Okay, you could say, well, it's only going to be a 9-man rotation in the playoffs. Fine, I'll take their 4 through 8, 4 through 9. I don't care.
This is going to be the narrative for the Suns team, and you're going to see it. It's going to be, Phoenix, they're so good. They got Durant. They got Booker. They're going to destroy the Clippers. No Paul George. I wouldn't be too sure about that. Clippers still have the best postseason player, arguably, besides LeBron and Curry, in the NBA. Right? You could make the argument Kawhi's better than Curry in the postseason.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
And he's playing that right now.
You could make the argument. So, okay, they have him. They have depth for days. Bones Highland off of the bench cooked the Lakers. Lakers have been one of the better teams in the NBA the past 20 games. Cooked them off the bench. Terrence Mann cooked them. Norman Powell cooked them. Mason Plumlee and Zubac, great bigs. Versatility with Covington.
That's the thing. Batum's a great defender.
Batum in shooting lights out. I just think, for me, I just didn't get that.
Mann.
I didn't get, and this is a side conversation. Eric Gordon, I would have kept Kennard. Imagine if you had Kennard right now.
Well,
it'd be over.
It still hurts
Garrett
me to
Gordon.
the core.
Eric Gordon's come on. I mean, he's good half the time, but I would have kept Kennard.
He's a better defender than Kennard, but Kennard's shooting.
Imagine if you had Kennard with Westbrook.
Unmatched.
Kennard with Westbrook, who's an elite passer. Come on. That was a mistake by the Clippers. But still, that narrative is going to be the Suns are going to wipe the floor with them. Who is the Suns' best player? Josh Okogie? I like Josh Okogie, but you're not winning anything with him as your 5th best player. I don't care how good your top 4 teams. And we're expecting DeAndre Ayton to be consistent. He hasn't been consistent his whole career.
Exactly.
Chris Paul is not the same player. You're looking at a 2-man team with 2 excellent players, top 10 players, 2 superstars. But then the rest of the team has a ton of question marks. I can't sit here and say they're one of the best teams in the Western Conference. I think they're one of the more beatable teams in the Western Conference. I'll say it right now. Could they get to the finals? Yes,
but
because of Durant
can.
and Booker. But it's going to be on Durant and Booker scoring 40 each a game to get there. It's going to have to be their greatness.
Their usage percentage is going to have to go way up. And this is just, Devin Booker's gotten hurt in the playoffs. He got hurt in the playoffs last year.
Kevin Durant's been hurt
multiple times, more than Kawhi over the past 2 years. So, this whole narrative like, oh, they're going to be healthy and they're going to wipe through the West. It's like, no. Let's slow down a little bit.
Dude, I would not be surprised if the Clippers beat him in 6 or 7.
Let's just go one by one. DeAndre Ayton against Zubats. I'm taking Ivica Zubats. I'm sorry. DeAndre Ayton's a good mid-ranger.
He's
can
soft,
shoot.
though. He's soft.
I'll take Zubats' toughness. Then we go power forward. Who is the Suns' power forward?
Torrey Craig?
Torrey Craig against Batum. I'll take Batum's shooting and defense. I mean, Torrey Craig or a coach. Sometimes
Torrey
they
Craig
put
fooled everybody. He's not that good of a defender. Let's be real.
I'll take Batum. Kawhi against Durant. That one's pretty even. I'll say even. Booker against, okay, I don't know who's going to play shooting guard.
Booker.
Booker's going to take that one. Point guard Chris Paul against Russell Westbrook. At this point in their careers, I don't know what Westbrook I'm going to get in the playoffs. It's probably even. So that's even and better. It's like almost even. We took Booker over somebody.
Okay.
We took Zubats over somebody.
Now go to the bench.
Even.
Go to the bench.
Let's go to the bench.
5-0 Clippers. The bench. 5-0 Clippers. Bones Highland versus Cameron Payne or your uncle. Doesn't matter who shows up to play basketball. Bones Highland. Okay? Terrence Mann or your other uncle. I don't know who's
Ish
playing.
Wainwright?
Ish Wainwright. Landry Shamit's
Terrence
good.
Ross?
Landry Shamit's good.
Yeah. Terrence
okay,
Ross.
Landry Shamit. Congrats. He's a decent role player. Terrence Mann.
Rocco against Terrence Ross.
Against Terrence Ross. Rocco. I mean, Terrence Ross can't guard a parked car.
No.
And he's hit or miss shooting.
Mason Plumlee against Landale.
Mason Plumlee. Mason Plumlee, by the way, underrated passer. I don't think people realize that.
It's a wax of the bench.
Wax.
People are saying,
wax.
"Oh, we don't need the bench when you have Kevin Durant and Devin Booker." You do. You
need
still
the bench.
do. You can't play him.
And
48.
by the way, if you play him 45 minutes a game, the chances of them getting hurt are super high.
Yeah.
In a physical series against the Clippers, who've been excellent defensively the past few games and have been going nuts offensively, for me, it's going to be about Kawhi controlling the pace and the Clippers being able to continue that intensity. Play the Suns like they're the Lakers. Play it like they mean something. The Suns beat them to a pulp a couple of years ago. They better get revenge. And this is not going to be – everyone in media is going to be like in big media. And I'm not going against that because obviously – there's a lot of smart people in big media.
Oh, yeah.
They're just going to look at Durant and Booker and then Kawhi and everybody else, and they've ridden off the Clippers. They're like Suns in 4 or 5. That's going to be a 6 to 7 game series. I can almost guarantee you that's going to be a 6 or 7 game series. And the only reason it's not a 6 or 7 game series is if the Clippers win in 5. I'll say it right now.
And we're assuming that Paul George isn't going to be back at any point.
If he plays. I mean, come on, that's a whole different story. Then you have Paul George. As long as he limits his turnovers, then it's a whole. For me, it's like I don't know why. I don't look. Obviously, the star power means something.
Yeah,
there's weighted stuff there, and the Suns certainly have a good chance to win that series without Paul George.
They have a good chance to win it all, but I'm saying it's not like just a foregone conclusion that everyone's saying.
Exactly.
Like I don't think we're trying to avoid. And that's one thing. Can I get to just something about the playoffs?
Let's do it.
I have something to say about playoffs and the seeding and the jockeying and all this.
Okay.
This whole seeding thing is just completely ridiculous. First of all, do you want to go into a series with double elimination, or would you rather have a 7-game series? The narrative that these teams are trying to jockey and seed and all this is completely blasphemous, in my opinion. Like, why, as the Clippers, right, would you want to hurt your momentum right now and lose a game to Portland or Phoenix going into the playoffs, which they did against the Thunder 2 years ago, and it hurt them very dearly? Why would you want to do that when you're going to have to beat the Suns anyways? The Lakers are going to have to beat the Suns anyways. The Warriors are going to have to beat the Suns anyways. The Clippers are everybody's going to have to beat them at some point.
And everyone's going to have to beat everybody, which is why you
everyone's
can't duck
gonna
opponents.
Have to beat everybody.
So
why are we
opponents.
jockeying? Why are you putting yourself in worse situations when you know you're going to have to beat them to get to the finals anyway?
You probably want to see the best teams in the first round
before
they get momentum.
Yes, and
I want the Warriors in the first round. I want the Suns in the first round.
There's always this thing of like, oh, well, maybe our chemistry, maybe we figure out something in the playoffs. No, if you don't have it figured out now, you're not going to figure it out. I'm sorry.
I'm sick and tired of people putting the Suns on this pedestal and putting the Warriors on this pedestal like it's a foregone conclusion one of them is going to make the playoffs.
There's a reason the Warriors are 42 and 38. There's a reason.
And there's a reason why people think despite 41 and 39 that the Lakers could make the NBA Finals. There's a legitimate reason. There's a legitimate reason there. And it's because they have two guys that have been there, that have won a championship. And they have a better roster today than they did with that championship team. It's all about effort with them. And so
Yes.
when people are always saying, "Oh, it's Warriors or Suns," oh my God, like yeah, it's
and
possible.
Denver, people are sleeping on Denver. The 1 seed. Denver can very easily get to the finals too.
It's possible.
That's why we're not talking about Denver, because I know and he knows that they're a very good basketball team.
Yes.
They are beatable. Everyone's beatable, but we have so much respect for them, right?
Yeah, and
I
don't
know
think,
that they can be beaten.
And by
but
the way, I don't think the Pelicans can beat them. By the way, I mean, it's possible, but I think I know Michael
their
Malone
length
called
is
them
pretty
soft,
good and
but
all that.
Jokic is a different animal. I feel like Jokic is becoming disrespected. He's maybe the most gifted offensive center we've ever seen. He's not going to win the MVP, and that's fine. I mean,
poor him. He only has 2.
He only has 2. But Embiid will get it, and that's the only hardware Embiid's ever going to get, unless that team changes. I mean, straight up.
Got waxed
enjoy. By the
Heat.
way, Embiid, enjoy your MVP. You're not winning a championship with this team. If they get you another star and Doc Rivers isn't your head coach, maybe you win a championship.
Yes, they need
but
to switch up.
enjoy this little hardware, that participation medal, like excellent season, excellent player. But we know what's going to happen, and you're not winning a championship with this team. I'm sorry, straight up. And I know they're going to get lucky. They're going to play the Nets in the first round.
They're going to win that
so
series.
lucky.
They're going to win that series.
I don't know what god they were praying to, but they got the Nets instead of the Heat. If the Heat played them, the Heat would have waxed them. So they're going to beat the Nets, and then they're going to play the Celtics or Heat, and they'll lose in the second round.
Well, they're not playing the Heat. They're going to play the Celtics.
Okay, so they'll lose in the second round. They'll lose in the second round, or maybe they beat the Celtics. They'll lose in the East Finals. Like, to me,
I just can't see them winning 3 series to get to the finals.
I can't either.
I just can't.
Either.
I'm sorry.
I don't care if it's Milwaukee or Cleveland. Whoever wins that series is going to wax
and that's
them.
not even like taking the injuries. Like, James Harden is hurt, and it looks apparent.
He's out. I mean,
it
he's been
looks
out.
apparent.
It looks apparent. Yeah, so that's another thing. So maybe the Nets, Mikal Bridges. By the way, question for you. Are the Suns better with Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson and Booker, Paul not making that trade, or are they better with Durant and a bunch of role players?
They're better with Durant.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, whenever you get a generational talent like Kevin
I agree,
Durant,
but I think it's closer than people think.
It is. I will agree with you there. That it is very close because, like I said with the Mavericks, oh my God, I don't even want to talk about the Mavericks.
Let's not discuss them.
They're the 10 seed, 11 seed. Tied for the 10 seed with Oklahoma City, who excellent job, Oklahoma City. But if we're talking about, oh my God, you trade away Mikal Bridges, who looks like Kevin Durant in Brooklyn. He literally slid into Brooklyn, and he looks like Kevin Durant did in Brooklyn.
He's the best player on a playoff team.
Yes. And Cam Johnson, who not is just a good shooter, but is a good defender. I said the same thing with the Mavericks when they traded Dorian Finney-Smith and they traded Spencer Dinwiddie. You can't trade away your best defenders for a generational talent. Kyrie is a generational talent. He's a very good basketball player. But when you trade away, depth is so important. We've said this so many times. Why did the Celtics and Warriors make the finals last year? They had depth. They had defensive depth.
Defense and depth.
And both teams traded it away.
And they didn't re-sign Otto Porter. Otto Porter was
huge.
Sure,
you got Kyrie, you got Kevin Durant, great generational talents.
Well,
but the benches are horrible.
Well, the reason why the Mavericks, even for Luka to succeed, you need a top 10 defense around him, and they did last year. That's why they got to the West Finals. Yes. But anyways, lots to look forward to, lots of narratives. We prepared you guys, so don't be surprised when stuff like this happens, when we're right and everybody else is wrong. Hey, appreciate y'all guys listening to us as always. This is the Baller Sports Dialogue podcast, hosted by Brandon Deutsch and Graham Mona, presented by the Sporting Tribune. Thank you all for listening, and enjoy the NBA playoffs.